Alright, what's up ladies and gentlemen? We're back with another mod stream. Today, I'm going to be doing some programming. There's not really any fancy intro, there's not really any big thing to mention. I guess I'll just say I'm doing a CSGO related talk show in a couple hours, and then aside from that, yeah, just stay tuned to the other channels and shit if you're interested in that sort of thing. Today, we're going to be unlimiting race-specific supply, removing it from the game entirely, so that we can actually implement some of the things that we want to implement, like the shared units. Recently, I have deployed some concepts for Protoss. These are not all of the changes they're receiving, but you can see some of them here. Maybe they interest you. Check it out at fraudsclub.com/Cosmonarchy, or in the link in many of the descriptions. What's up, Luciferius? What's up, Viker? All right, so speaking of Viker, he's the one who sent me all of these things that I have to hook. So I've already done one of them. We're going to do the rest of these, and hopefully they're relatively trivial. So I'll be doing a lot of looking at my other monitor here. So basically what I'm doing is using the interactive disassembler, IDA, to smash some hooks. Disassemble some assembly. Then I have to rename a bunch of shit, fix a bunch of shit manually, and then after that we're good to go. You can just plop it into GPTP and fix some errors and we're good. I didn't even try building with this new file, so I guess I should rebuild. Looks like I did everything correctly, at least in the compiler sense, so that's good. Yeah, I don't think I need to worry about that, because I started working on that hook when I was a real dum-dum, so I think I'll just redo it from scratch. It's a bit larger. Supplies available. Supplies used. I don't think I have those in data. I do not. Okay. Our edit group flags. That's a classic. Get supplies max. Do I have this helper? I do not. Although, is get supplies max something I'm hooking anyway? Hold on. I am. Okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. Forget about that then. We'll just call the hook directly. Such is the power of hooking things. And that one's a really easy one too. So back to supply hooks CPP. So I should probably try to rename some of these variables. For example, this is group flags. I don't know what these zeros are used for. Oh, looks like they're initializing the value. And this is supplies available Z. And this is... Oh, is that really the case, though? Supplies max. Yeah, it's not really like that. We'll just say supply var 1 for now, and maybe I'll have a better name for it later. It's pretty confusing to look at for too long, obviously. Oh yeah, we should rename this to supplies used Terran. Supplies used Zerg. supplies used. Protoss. Let me just make sure I named them the correct thing here. 582.294. 582.174. 582.204. Okay, that's good. Oh, it's some stupid shit. I couldn't find it when I was searching for the addresses. Like, I searched for this, and it doesn't show up anywhere. So, that's pretty useful. I guess nobody decided to document it. It's supply data. Okay, so how will that change my hook here? What is it anyway? Race supply. Okay, so this is available. Oops. No, it's like provided used max. Oh, okay. I'll just keep it the way that I had it then, because at least I know that works. This fucking solution seems kind of over-engineered to me. Is game cheat flags? I think it's just cheat flags or something. Cheat state. Let's see if this is the same one. Yeah. Obviously, I won't be using those player ID variables, but I wanted to give them some info. Supply var3. Supply var4. What's v11? Group flags 2. Why do we have 2 separate ones? Anyway, it's ready to go. Just have to fix a lot of it myself. Oh, it's probably something else that's triggering it. Oh. Wait, is it just group flags? Okay. Whoa! I like how it's always just a fucking shot in the dark as to how these things were set up. I'll let you do the re-engineering, bro. I'm just here to write the hook. I have a lot of hooks to write, and if I sit here trying to, you know, micromanage them in that way, I will probably lose my mind. Alright, so we gotta also shove this into the header here. And I guess we'll do the wrapper for it, and then we'll move on to the other one that it requires. Get supplies. What is it? Used or something? Remaining wrapper. I don't know. 4889DO. Yeah, it's one. We got S32 result, static, U8 player ID, static. Is that a 16? Unit ID. Result equals hooks get supplies remaining. Player ID, unit ID. Okay. Should be good. After shared supply is done, I'm going to work more on the protest stuff, and I would like if somebody could work on the Nidus stuff. I obviously still have to finish the Protoss revival, so I guess I can move on to that afterwards if necessary, but it would be nice to resolve those issues. Whoa! Okay. So obviously, since we have player ID as a parameter, there doesn't really, there's never any need to document a player ID variable. It doesn't make any sense. We even use it in the same fucking scope in some cases, so it's pretty stupid, obviously. Okay. And then I don't know what to make of the supply variable things or why there's a group flags too. No idea. But whatever. Is this used anywhere else? I can define it here then. Okay, up next, get supplies max, which is very easy. 4 NOPs. Rename this to just group flags. Oh, I guess I should cross-reference the... It's EAX unit ID. And is that race ID or player ID? Player ID. V2 is group flags. I thought it was funny that Veek's reaction to the Anthelion, which he told me about in DMs, was he was not excited about it because its implementation would probably be insane. And I thought that was pretty funny, letting yourself be, what is this, Zerg? What is 4? Wow, that nice fucking structure, dude. Okay. 4 is Protoss. Well, I guess I should have fucking intuited that by what follows. Is Terran. But yeah, it's just funny to me, the idea, like, that was his reaction. That's how I feel about stuff sometimes, too, so can't blame him. Okay. Inject this one. This was 4 Nops. Max Wrapper. What does this do? Result. Okay, done. I don't expect you to know how to. It's probably, like, I don't even know if it's actually Rust, though, because I don't recall this issue ever cropping up before, and we've had the Nidus thing for over a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So I would actually suspect it's something in GPTP that we enabled only recently, but I don't know. I guess maybe not, because maybe the Nidus hooks were one of those things that were never implemented. Like, they were never initialized. And we initialized them so that we could safeguard against these crashes. But I don't remember the order of operations on that one. All right, 3 down. Let's go. Supplies used is even easier. I believe erase is this. Oh, this is not race. This is player ID. And this is race. Because the same shit that we had earlier. Okay. I guess the biggest issue is that if it is like, we can't even really verify whether or not it is A's because of the reliance that we have. We would have to find some way to disable the code or something. See if it's still broken the same way. Oh, what's up, Ned? Yeah, we could. So what we could do is we could disable the A's code and then just. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like it might be an AI only issue because not only do AI build it more often, but it was Faguta reported that when he mind controlled using an Akistra core, he mind controlled an allied Nidus canal, and it gave, for one, the connected Nidus canal wasn't even what was actually connected to it. Like when he went through it, he went through an unrelated Nidus canal. That wasn't something that he got when he mind controlled one canal. He got the exit, but the exit wasn't actually the real exit. It was a fake. And then for another, it had a bunch of queued stuff in it, which is not how it's supposed to work at all. So I think it probably is some way that the Niduses are being set up. I guess, like, very briefly, I'll take a diatribe, or a digression rather, and we'll find some Nidus code. Is not borrowed. Okay. Well, that makes it completely out of left field then. Maybe it's something like enter Nidus canal. Don't know. You would expect this to be offset by 1. I don't know. That's really weird. Has no exit. Then I'm not actually sure if that was for sure a CCMU issue, because then remember that I was playing my map, and we had some wacky issues. So this is 1. Get supplies. Good one. Used. That's very funny. Okay. Okay. And should be good. Okay, that built. I'll push what I've got so far with more functions. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's just some stupid change of the name. $4857B0. Okay, I'm not hooking this, so we'll need this as a helper. Team game race count, or team game count races. Interesting. So let's go to initialize unit counts. What is this anyway? This is char team count races. These are all chars, huh? let's see what we got. We apparently have... So this is team and race, so... This is probably called force, actually, and race. But we actually have a missing argument, according to our main man. Illegal team check. What is this? Starting races. We have no documentation of an EDI in this, so I'm guessing this is some... Well, I don't know. How is this called in the hook? 0x190. So this is a bool, then. So we'll say... B is legal. And then this is race. Legal. Okay. Oh boy. We have no context for this one. Unless it's already stuck in data somewhere. Of course it is not. Okay. For now, we'll leave it at that. What else do we got here? There's a lot of casting going on here. I'm assuming something got fucked up. V0 must not be meant to be a byte. It's just that I can't find the type of this, whatever this is supposed to be. So... yeah, Kian, we can't set all races to Terran because remember that Terran group flag also controls burning down, prevents you from being able to place it on creep, stuff like that. Now, theoretically, I guess it might have even been easier for us to hook the functions that check the group flag for things like burning down and placing on creep. We still have to do the last one anyway, so that we can make it so that if the creep is owned by your ally, you can build on it or whatever. But yeah, it's I think it's fine to like keep it as it is. I was actually thinking that the burning down behavior feels a bit weird in the first place, and maybe I could do something more interesting with it. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so I obviously have to figure out what this byte is, because it's not really a byte. It's a byte array that's taking v1, which is just set to 1. Looks like maybe this is iterating through all players, but I'm not sure. Team count races. What did team count races take again as v1? It's force. Yes, okay, so this is a force count, basically. So force iterator. And this is reading some data about each force, basically. And I don't know what the 400 is. This would probably still be legal as far as the code goes, but it's really weird, and right now can't really be, like... It's really difficult to look at it right now and say, like, this is what this is doing. So... So I guess we'll call this result, but that's pretty shitty too, because obviously it's being used for iteration. And v2 is, okay, so this is supply max 1, supply max 2, supply max 3. These are also pretty shitty names though. What is v6? Looks like it's the same thing. I'm gonna say iterator result. I don't know what to do about that one. But yeah, casting this to D-word tells me for sure this is like some... Yeah, this is some like array or whatever that isn't actually documented. Some struct that we, like IDA doesn't know to point it to. So this is probably the most complicated one I've had to deal with so far. And not sure how to resolve that one. It looks like it might only be for team games, but I'm not sure about that one. Oh, I didn't actually check these variables. So this is SCVW data, does not exist, so we'll do, what's this called anyway? Units produced own total. And this is unit count score, okay. We'll call that unit count score. I think that's a bit more clear anyway. Yeah, that's correct. All unit count. Do we have that here? Okay. It's called all unit count table. What was the other one? Unit score or something? Unit count score. I thought I renamed this a while ago. Yeah, it's just called game data. And then this is called... I always do this. Oh. But I wonder why it wouldn't be happy with me. How did I do this in the lobby code? Because that was how I accessed this before. Ah, okay. It's just an arrow. Duh. What a noob. Well, considering he just immediately left the server, I don't think he'll be putting any bugs up. But yeah, that would be where we would take him, ideally. Most of the bugs that I've seen are graphical, but... I'm sure there are still some other ones. There's a bug with the balance with Vithrilisks and Nathricors, but we've resolved that in a pre-release patch anyway. were pretty insane, Bailiff. Were. So we have here push AD, push race, move EDI, B is legal, move AL, force, call, funk, team, game, EX, result, static, shot, result. I don't remember if this is, can I convert argument to from char? The fuck? Oh, that's supposed to be a char pointer, I guess. Yeah, looks like it. Just add that then. Good to know. All right, cool. It's the classic issue with like in CSGO or whatever, where they have like a gun and nobody uses it, and they're like, oh, let's just keep pushing it this way and that way, and maybe it'll get better. Maybe people will start to see that it's good, and then they just get fucked when somebody finally uses it, because it's like ridiculous. Little did we know. Oh, fuck. What did I just unpin? Back there. Really wish I could remove the unpin button and close button from these so that it was like, I would have to literally right click on it if I wanted to unpin something. But since Visual Studio unpins shit for me all the time anyway, is it really any surprise? I guess we'll initialize this with a value of 0. Separate these. Force iterator is a local to this. Supply max is a local to these here. So it'll be right here. Just throw all of those in there anyway. Iterator result is U8 here. That should be okay, I guess. Yeah, and the attack speed's slow as well, of course. Yeah, this hook that I just did now is probably the one that I'm least confident in because of the fact that it has so much wacky shit. So that will probably require some fuckery. I think I've been killed more by ground armies than air armies, as a general rule. If you were just watching the stuff that I was doing in, well, no, I think even in the Mapcraft playthroughs I did on Tuesday or Monday, still involved a lot of ground armies. As Terran, I had to stick to air units because I was bad at teching to Terran, through to Terran. Like, and I also just chose to go air. I could have also gone like heavy ground, or I could have made use of the new bio units or something. But the map was really enormous, so that was like I think a map specific case where maybe air was favored. Although even then, you could argue for a faster moving ground army because of how slow moving those heavy air units were. Uh, and even then, ground armies did contest me for a while. If you remember all of the walkers and stuff that were getting that I was getting annihilated by at various occasions. So it's not. I don't even think that's the truth there either. But overall, yeah, some people have mentioned that air units feel pretty. Air units have historically been some interesting fucking units. This is a weird error message or whatever, but remove parenthetical. Okay. On to the next one. Oh boy. Pain. Let's see what we got here. So this is dialogue. I guess we can do a child DLG. Nation ID is in replay. What is this stupid ass function name? Stat res main proc. Dumb. Those giant two-eyed hammerhead bugs formed eggs to turn into floating mutants. Giant two-eyed hammerhead bug. Oh yeah, you're thinking of the Cascathalor turning into an Alcagelus. Yeah. The Zerg feel pretty swarming and unstoppable when they get a good start, which is really thematic. Obviously, I would like the assets to be higher quality, but it is what it is, I guess. We'll get there eventually. Well, air has the advantage of like raw firepower in the very late game. Obviously, the Penumbra is a case where it doesn't. The Demiurge is really disruptive. The Pariah is a really strong front line, but obviously can get bursted. Anything can get bursted down with enough suppressive fire from some of these other branches. So your intuition is probably on the money there, Balethal, but the the way that the other factions, or the other branches, I should say, get their work done is ideally not by raw power with large, like, consolidated into single units or whatever. Like, that should be one element of it, but also by, like, swarming you with a bunch of shit that you can't possibly kill, even if you do have the heavy firepower, right? Like, that could be one way to go anyway. So yeah, that is one option. What is this? 4E5 5-3 something? B0. Oh, Jesus Christ. 4E5 3B0. Okay. I'm gonna have to put this in as a helper. For stat whatever main I think that's what it was. Void show supply info. And this is in dialogue. S16A2, S16A3, U16A4. We'll figure out what those are in a sec. Do we have anything here? These are all stack args. Push A4, push A3, push A2, and move EBX dialogue. Okay. Okay, we will apparently not figure out what those are. What is this? Graphic, apparently. A3. Dialogue. V7 equals A3 plus 1. And what is V7 used for? Some divisor, countdown timer display, text. I'll call it math. I don't know what the fuck that is. Okay. E5 3B0. Word units that spray clouds of orange smoke still in the game. Yeah, you're thinking of what used to be called the Defiler. They are still in the game. They're called Isthraphaleth. So good luck ever remembering that one. But yeah, they're still there. Well, the thing is, even if you are taking command of a unit and it's dying because it's low HP, it's still wasting it. It's absorbing attacks and attention from your enemy's army, which is quite important. What they can, when they really shine, is obviously against high HP units, but also against structures, since they can take command of your entire enemy player's base. At which point you could be in for a world of pain, depending on what ends up happening there. So, I think against Terrans specifically, they can provide a lot of value. Because when you smash a Terran structure, right, you can... Well, I guess against Protoss, they can provide interesting value because you can take command of, like, somebody else's tech structure or production structure and just start training your own units out if you have the requisite tech structure. Like, you could imagine somebody building a robotics authority, and then you walk in there with the Demiurge. They don't have the Demiurge tech. You take command of it and start, producing Demiurges there. That's, like, one idea. It's kind of an interesting mechanic. But the Terran stuff is really interesting to me because if you take command of a parent structure, you get control of the add-on as well. It transfers ownership naturally. So you could theoretically grab a captaincy with a guild hall and start pumping out autocrats or something, which would really be synergistic, we'll say, with a lot of Protoss units because they're just that powerful. So that would be one area where a Demiurge could easily turn the tide, especially with the shared supply stuff in the works where you don't have to also take command of a supply depot or something. So that will make that a little bit more viable once this rework is in. So, yeah. Think it will work out in the long run. We got another one. This is probably for printing resources and supply costs and stuff. Thanks. Jesus. Why Visual Studio? I can't undo a rename, apparently. Owned! Yeah, but I don't think people have actually tried to use pariahs in that way. Like they have a ridiculous amount of tank of durability, so nobody's tried to like merge that with Clarions. Nobody's tried to like, offset that by giving them a slight front line like a golem or something. Like, something to absorb the damage ahead of time. People just like A-move pariahs and then they're like, oh, it doesn't work. So that's a bit different, we'll say. Yeah, I don't actually know what those other ones are. I think we'll leave them as just... Okay. Is there a way I can make it so that it only... There we go. I didn't see this earlier, but apparently I'm trying to convert this to a char pointer array or something. Yeah, they still take full damage. I think they aren't as durable as you expect because when you look at the unit, it's I mean, it's got 4 armor, so it's pretty tanky, but the shields obviously are meant to be a bit expendable in that respect. So I actually don't know what I'll call this. I guess it's another unknown value, but I don't think the problem with pariahs is their durability. I think it's with compositions that don't allow them to scale well. They also do way more damage than ultra cores. So. Well, they just deal more damage into single targets as well. Okay, easy enough. Except it's probably broken. So this returns S32. Maybe this is like morph supply or something. Well, architects will be revised a bit to handle. Basically, they'll be a little bit better at dishing out damage in general. Because right now, architects are more like like their splash scales very well in terms of like it. Basically, the idea of the unit is that it can attack as many targets as are in the target radius. However, the Acantor is a bit more like focused in that sense, and obviously it can only attack ground units, which is not something I plan on changing. Whereas like the Demiurge is a really good single target because of the chronal type and reasonably fast attack speed. It's just that you don't usually want, like, they are very expensive right now, probably too expensive. I'll probably drop the gas cost on them. But yeah, I think in general you would see some pretty like some late game like robo armies for Protoss would probably consist of architects, demiurges, and I would still like to see. I would probably still use like spamming out vassals and stuff to enchant the units that I'm still using. But obviously that would kind of require like it would. You'd have better luck with the selection extender basically doing that. Until then, players would probably not be able to do too much there to the same degree. But we'll see. It will evolve over time, of course. I think a Cantor is probably have a very dated style to them, if you think about it, because Acantors do rely on shuttles, on envoys, I guess, on being able to be relocated around the map because of their really slow movement speed. Architects also have pretty slow movement speed, but because they can handle, they just attack faster, and they might be slightly faster than Acantors in general in terms of movement speed. I have this. I get the sense that the architect can fend for itself a bit better than the Acantor can. Also, because it can attack air units, which is something that the Acantor can't really do. So I wonder if the Acantor should actually be considered a little bit lower tier in that sense. And I guess my plan is to move the architect up to a definitive tier 3 unit with its own dedicated tech structure, and well, either that or bundle the tech structure that it unlocks with something else. But I'm pretty sure I would want to use like I would want to give the architect a feeling of like being a tier 3, maybe not siege unit, but artillery unit in the sense that it serves a similar role to the Acantor, but can also attack air units and kind of scales with the number of enemies you're facing. And then have the Acantor itself be a little bit more reserved for that focused blast of damage that it deals, keeping that element alive. Again, I would probably just want to remove the whole Scarab system entirely and just give it a normal weapon. That might be something that we could even do in Brood War, depending on how much lard code there is there. But yeah, I don't know. I still think that Acantors can serve purposes against ground-focused compositions because if you can give them a front line, then they can dish out a really, really high amount of damage. But it does feel a bit like feast or famine in that sense because they are so slow and so vulnerable. Like, obviously, when they're up against phalanxes, they have to get into the phalanx range, and odds are you're probably not going to have much of like a mid-range front line if you're at tier 3s. Maybe that's more of a problem of the availability of other units. Like, maybe there should be a shorter range unit that's maybe manifold range or maverick range or something like that, that pops out of the robotics authority or is conceptualized as a tier 2, tier 3 unit that can run cover, so to speak, interception for the artillery units in general. That would probably require removing the whole like ground pathing of the Scarab, but yeah, basically everywhere there's a Warbringer patch, there would have to be a Cantor patch as well. Probably wouldn't be that big of a deal to do it, but it is pretty annoying. There's a lot of hard code for Acantors. So I'm trying to figure out what this function actually does. So it has some sort of temp supply. I'll call it get supplies temp, even though that's probably not exactly what it is. Fighter count or supply if building. What the fuck? And it's considered a byte? But it's listed as D word here. I think... Wait, what is DD? DD is D word, or what the fuck? Ammo, yeah, ammo is not really a problem anymore, but... V, can you explain what these fucking letters mean? Please? Pretty please? Because I thought... I got something wrong earlier. Yeah, this unknown player thing. Supply if building. So this is supply... What a fucking wild thing. Well, in this case, it's a size of 2, so I guess DW is S16. But I had another one that I had to look at, which is this. Oops. Which is listed as DD. But DB is, I think, byte. Yeah, this DD is D word, so this is actually supposed to be S32. And this is, building supply. I don't know. We'll just call this supplies of the temp. Okay. What other hoops are you gonna throw me through, Hook? That doesn't really look like anything. This is a pretty simple one. Unit ID. Amazing. Incredible. Wait, what is V1? Wait. It literally doesn't exist. V1 is uninitialized, by the way. What a joke. I assume it's supposed to be active portrait unit. I don't know how that would have gotten away. What a prank. Oh, I didn't actually add supplies used temp prank. Let's try to do that now. should be good. Okay, I have pushed that junk. I have 2 more to go. This is called draw supply unit status. And this one we need a name for. It's a bool. Result is either so D7. Thanks. Not really what I wanted to see. Fire. Oh, I just realized I didn't push AD here. That would have been a bad move. Okay. What else we got? I think the killable projectile thing is better done in it'll be better done in the new engine. I kind of thought it was overrated, but I haven't watched it in a while. Maybe there's something that grows on me if I check it out again. I have this really distinct, like, it's kind of a weird thing, but if I know that something is a clear copy paste of something else, Like, obviously that was like a copy paste of like Dances with Wolves, and there was some other film where you could literally take the script and then just change out some proper nouns. I forget what it was. I don't think it was Mulan, but it was some film uh, that had a very similar premise, but it was just not in space, not with aliens or whatever. It was with Native Americans instead. Um, but anyway, if I know something is a copy and paste to something else because I've seen a movie that it's like heavily based off of, like I haven't seen. This is an example that people keep bringing up is like Joker is heavily inspired by Baby Driver. I haven't seen Baby Driver, so I didn't know that going into Joker. Whereas same thing was like The Sopranos heavily influenced Breaking Bad, and I hadn't seen The Sopranos, so like only upon like looking back at it now would I realize, oh, Breaking Bad was actually kind of derivative, because to me it was novel. But because I had already experienced part of the like the inspiration, we'll say the original source material for Avatar, it actually did sap at its worth and its value, because for me it was not new information, not new stuff at all. It was like basically a special effects extravaganza version of some film that I already seen, so I wasn't able to get invested in it as much. But some people either didn't have that context or just don't have that problem. So I would understand why some people would prefer it. But to me, it just felt like pretty one note. All right, so what are we calling this function then? The fuck is V4? This seems like it's supposed to be accessing group flags or something, but it ain't. Joker was like I think 2019, because it was a film I saw in theaters. It might have been the last film I saw in theaters, actually. I think it was, since obviously everything closed down with the pandemic. Yeah, I thought Joker was interesting. I thought it was like, obviously when you take a step back and you consider how it does feel a bit forced how like the outcome was of a revolt was happening. They tried to uh, show that, but I feel like they didn't really linger on the surrounding conflict enough to really make me believe that, like, I mean, the reductive analysis is a clown shoots some rich guys, and that is the start of a riot or an uprising or a revolution or something. Like, definitely seems a bit weird. But I liked that it was not afraid to go to be deeper than the average comic book movie, I guess. Even though I did feel like some of the comic book specific things were a bit weird, like how they shoehorned in Bruce Wayne dying, uh, and starting off Batman's like career or whatever, which I thought was a bit bizarre. And I also think that, like, obviously this guy can't, like, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker can't go toe to toe with like Superman or something, or like Christian Bale Batman or something. Like, it just doesn't like it doesn't fit. There's a lot of thematic disconnect there. But what I do like is uh I like that as a one-off. It was like an interesting excuse to explore a compelling character that was elevated by the performance of Joaquin Phoenix. I don't think that it worked out in the sense that, or I don't think it would work out if revisited, and I don't think that the excessively forced shoehorned in comic book stuff worked either. Like the whole Bruce Wayne, but like basically, if Bruce Wayne didn't just get executed at the end there, like they saw an opportunity, they went for it. But for me, it's almost like the comparison I'll draw is like if you're making a campaign and the plot dances around, like it uses some characters or some elements from the original story, and it dances around your expectations or whatever, and then at the end it's like, oh, and by the way, the Overmind dies, or you know, like by the way, like this plot event that happened in the main games like happened from this perspective now, and here's how we got here. It feels like, but why? We were just exploring like this alternate take, if you will. Like we don't have to make it canon, so to speak. We don't have to make it fit within the setting. Like it's actually fine to just keep looking at it from this like alternate perspective, because you take yourself seriously enough and you present it in a way that's not like a farce or whatever. So I felt like that part sapped at the enjoyment of the film for me. Whereas I thought it was really cool to see like Bruce Wayne being depicted as kind of a thug in some aspects, but also like obviously a rich guy in other aspects, and he wasn't the most sympathetic of characters. But then to shoehorn in his death because that's the Batman origin story felt like it felt like a bit of an afterthought the way that it was presented, and also just conceptually, it felt like you're distracting from the new take that you're having on the setting that isn't scalable, can't really work with the rest of it, but just let it be for the whole movie, let it be for a standalone installment, basically. So. You can't treat Batman seriously after he burned every plant in Gotham. Ah. I did not. I didn't. I haven't actually watched Starship Troopers very recently. Like it was a long time ago. And I think I was too young to realize the satire intrinsic to the film because I was literally like an early teenager or whatever. So I was just like, oh, bad guys and shooting. Like I didn't at that time. I didn't even know like the whole Nazi iconography and stuff that they had going on there. Like I didn't even know what a fascist was. I was really young, so I treated it more like an action movie instead of like a satire, which is more what it is. But yeah, I don't know. It's an alright movie. I think it has some pretty fun elements to it. I'll say that much. But I've only seen the very first one, so. Yeah, the 2019 Joker is very different from other movies, basically, other super like comic book or superhero movies. It's not. It doesn't really feel like one, despite using the source material. And I think that's an interesting direction to go into, rather than like rehashing the same shit over and over again. What's up, Alexander? I guess Balethal, you're talking about Starship Troopers. I don't think that the book and the film are trying to tell the same story. So I don't think it's a misunderstanding, or I think it was probably more of a if it reads more like a conscious decision to take the source material in a different direction, which you don't have to do to the extent that they did in that film, but you do have to adapt to the material because it's a visual medium now, and the directors had their own vision of what to do in that sense. Yeah. I haven't read the book, but what I do know about it, and maybe I'm speaking out of ignorance, but it does feel like the book takes the concept more seriously, whereas the film intentionally played up elements of the setting to make it a farce that everybody winked at, and that's where the satire came from. Mass Effect Trilogy has been remastered and released on Steam. I have no interest in playing Mass Effect, really. I guess it could make for an entertaining playthrough, but I feel like the entertaining moments would be very hit or miss in that, or few and far in between, because that is like a movie game, man. I have played I have played the first one years ago on the channel, or maybe 2 3 years ago or something like that, and I briefly played the second one. I don't think I've ever played the third one, and I've never played Andromeda. But the the whole trilogy thing, the whole remastered thing, I'm not paying for shitty remasters. The graphics look pretty hilariously bad. Like I thought the original graphics looked bad, but like they completely missed the tone with these new ones. I don't think it's no reason, Balathal. I think you're looking at it through the lens of they didn't understand the book, but really they weren't trying to mimic the book. They were trying to tell their own story, using the source material as an option for doing that. It would be like saying that Cosmonarchy doesn't understand Starcraft's premise when really it's trying to do something completely different. You know what I mean? That's how I would compare it anyway. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a bunch of QTEs, and then it just crashed. So, bye. Four two four 980 does need redraw. So I guess this will be redraw supply info. Well, Vik, I hope you're ready. Because after this, I only have one more to do. You'll have a fun time dealing with all this shitty math. Do you really think that they had such ill intentions? Because it does not read like that to me whatsoever. Yeah, sorry to hear that, DF. Well, it's redundant, but what I mean by redundant now is that it's redundant now that I'm initializing it as 0. Obviously, most of the code is redundant when we remove race-specific supply. That much is true. Of course, the last one is stupid. Okay. Convert to struct. There you go. That was easy, Ida. It's almost like all you had to do is look at the very first line of the code and realize, oh, wow. Who would have guessed? There's a lot of shit in here. Apparently I have an unknown struct. That's great. Two 7-0. Oh yeah, this is redraw supply info. Homo stretch, boys. Wait, am I even doing this correctly? Yeah. It's a good thing the Academy's not in Cosmonarchy, baby. I hate that fucking graphic with a passion. If I could say one thing to the original dev team, I assume you're talking about Starcraft. I would attempt to convince them to make the code open source, or at least give me a copy. That's what I would attempt to do. Or say to them, or whatever. What's this called? Status screen funk. Four, 5, 7, 3, 10. You can play on the current patch. There's some stability issues related to Nidus Canals in the late game, but besides that and some button balance changes we'll be making, should be functional. I don't think double checking would have fixed anything, DF. I think this kind of incompetence is not going to benefit from looking at it again. I mean, we don't benefit from looking at it, that's for sure. 457250. Do I even care enough to... No. I guess I can just check this in Knave's list. That's control. First ID. Last ID, okay. Cool. Owned. The only stability issues we have with the current pre-release build are related to the weapons data extender, I'm pretty sure. Although, well, I guess not the only ones, but we seem to have safeguarded against some of the other ones, at the very least. The mid and outer splash damage multipliers. Well, it tells you in PyDat, but you can also see it in weapon effect. I don't remember off the top of my head. So inner is 100%. Medium is... The tooltip is not showing up. There we go. 50% is medium and outer is 30 or 25. Okay, there you go. I thought it was going to be 1/3. So ideally, we would just make that scale linearly, like we were talking about some time ago, Veek. Because it's pretty stupid that you get the like arbitrary fall off points. So instead, it should just medium should do nothing, inner should be 100%, and from the outermost part of inner, say it's like 24 inner, so from 25 till whatever outer is, that should be a linear drop off of damage, where it goes from like 99% at 25 or whatever to 0% or 1%, I guess. Although maybe we'll have different percentage fields there. I don't know. All right, that's in there. What am I calling this with? What is V19? Oh, unit ID. So this is unit ID. My changes still have errors. Wonder what those would be. No, I'm talking about the fact that the radius sizes are arbitrary instead of being consistent. I also think multipliers are usually pretty bad for intuition, but my intuition is the farther away I get, the less damage I take, which is technically true, but the cutoff points are arbitrary instead of being intuitive and scalable and consistent. So just a few pixels can be the difference between 35 damage and whatever half of 35 is. I guess that would be 12 or like 17 and a half or something. Why is it yelling at me here? I said 35. But nice try. But worst try. Because I was subtracting, I was dividing the siege tank damage, which is like the most common splash damage in my head, or the one that I default to. Need to add this as a helper. Well, Veek, while you wait for me to fix my errors, maybe you can fix Wyverns, as Fagudo has reported a bug with their targeting. Or you can fix any of the other issues we have. But I appreciate that you have done the effect. We will test it later. Oh, I guess I don't have this. Ah, there's another unknown struct. That'd be why. Yeah, basically it's very binary and unintuitive. Invisible, I guess, would be one way to describe it. Well, this is group flag. This should be group. Hmm. CA 668. Okay, seems correct. All right, I guess we'll wrap this one and then send it off to Veek. I'm sure he will be very appreciative of the mess I have left him. But that only took a couple hours. That wasn't too bad for writing however many hooks I just wrote. Hopefully they function without too many modifications, as it would be quite disheartening to get fucked otherwise. Owned. Annihilated, I guess. Did I not, maybe I didn't write this one. In here or somewhere? No, I did. Oh, this one must already exist. Okay. Who would have guessed? I like how I searched this function and didn't find any of these. So, I just got fucked, basically. Nice Visual Studio. Maybe the same is true for... Okay, Viker. Have fun with that one. It compiles now. It looks like basically if the new target is not in range, they don't move. Oh, also the projectile offset is insane. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so 2 hours later, we've resolved the hook stuff. So I've done my job. Hopefully, if Vika runs into any issues, I can assist him. Meanwhile, it's time to move on to working on some more Protoss conceptual changes. But first, I have to use the bathroom and get water because it's hot. So I shall return. And when I return, I shall successfully smash some Protoss stuff. Stay tuned. So I have returned. We are going to resume work on the epic Protoss overhaul. I will save my database here. Close that for now. Got to boot up my notes. Oh boy. We are, let's just say, we're about to really change some stuff up. I guess I'll do the DAT requirement changes now, since those will be among the most numerous ones. And then I can also remove some buttons, stellar, Protoss structures. Moving that. That. Also, I've opened up my window, so don't be surprised if you hear some background noise. But feel free to yell at me about it if you do hear some. So, obviously, one of the core issues that I'm concerned about is that we don't have a reasonable way to add another control group or another sub command card, shall we say? Because like profane structures should probably be stuck with like robotic or something. Um, hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of an issue. Is one of the things that I'm noticing in general is that we have we still limited by the command card, right? Because if I add another subgroup, like, it's already pretty crazy that you have 4, in my opinion. So, I mean, I guess I could add another one. It would be V as the hotkey, since you have B, V, and then ZXC, so you have, like, all of the bottom row keys, and V is, like, advanced in most other cards. So people who aren't using grid hotkeys would still be fine. And then I could just move gather and return over. There would be overlap, which I'm not a massive fan of, but still something. Yeah, maybe that might even be how we have to do it, unfortunately. Because I'm trying to think about, like, obviously you've got Templar, and with the removal of the Sanctum of Sorrow, like, I mean, theoretically we could throw in, we have the Prostration stage, we have the Rogue Gallery, and we have the Wayward Lure, and the Sanctum of Sorrow, and the Monument of Sin. So that's 5? So we can't fit that in Templar. If we go to find the other Protoss structures, we can't fit that in Robotic, and we can't fit that in Stellar. So we do need another one, which is kind of interesting, I guess. So I guess we'll do Profane Protoss structures. We'll say cancel, remove these items. And we'll say and then we would have okay. So this one would be the Wayward Lure. What does this enable again? This enables Luminary, Strigas, and Empresses. It's 427. And this would be 428, which is What is the astral omen? Oh. Did you update it recently? I wonder if that has something to do with it. That is pretty insane, though. I know replace reference has been broken for a while for me. I wonder if they just break functionality if you have not updated. I could believe that, actually. Okay, so we know that Machinist Hall, Citadel of Adun. Ancestral Effigy, Principality, Stellar Icon, Celestial Shrine. Alright, these are out. So obviously these will get reincorporated back in to the... some of these will get reincorporated back in as the 5 structures or 4 structures that we need. I guess I'll just take these 4 and jump into Protoss NGS buildings. So we'll call this one, this is Prostration Stage, Rogue Gallery, Monument of Sin, Wayward Lure. Okay. Okay, save those changes, and we have to go to the button sets, of course, and change the number here to reflect. Was it? So 59. So this would have been 162, I think. Well, I guess it is just the ID. So it's just that the name is offset. And then Wayward Lure is 163. This is 175. Now we need to assign this to a Well, ain't that a problem? Did I already assign it to star location? Don't remember. So I know I'm using like nuclear missile. Oh, that's for relic augment. Okay, we can do that. And then on the scribe, so this would be 429. Okay. Should be good then. Yeah, that was one of the functions that I was pretty sure was going to break, unfortunately. Well, that's usually when we just have a bad helper for no apparent reason and we get annihilated. Normally, we have historically fixed that via supply info. We have historically fixed it by working, shall we say, we've historically fixed it just by hooking the function, but yeah. Well, let me fire up IDA again, and I will see if I can get to the bottom of it. Hello? Jesus Christ. Nice program. Everything is fuck. That was a classic one. There we go. So yeah, Math B, Math A, and Graphic are all stack args. EBX is dialogue. Function is void, so it doesn't return anything. And the address is 4E5, 3B0, so that's not the problem. There's KR00_4. I don't know what the fuck that is. That's the only thing that stands out to me, and it's just a variable anyways. Yeah, but if we could figure out what's causing these busted ESPs, would actually be pretty useful for a variety of other things. Push AD, push my args, call the function. There's no result, and then pop. So yeah, there's nothing that stands out to me that's like different with this function than anything else. So the only thing I can think to look for is, I mean, I don't know if I can trust the program to actually find all instances. What if I entire solution this? Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, it's just frozen forever trying to find it. Maybe not trying at all. Who knows? I mean, I guess what you can do is you can try casting them in here as a local variable to, like, basically doing like S32 graphic arg equals graphic, S32 math a equals math. Oh, it would be math a arg equals math a. And then pushing these. I don't know if you've already made some changes here. All right. When do you get the crash? Just by like starting the game? It looks like I'm getting the same crash as you even... Oh no, this is in print res stats info. So I guess it gets lower by doing this. So maybe I do this for... Well, I'm on release instead of debug, so it might have something to do with it. I don't need to make these into S32s because they're pointers, right? So they're already a full byte. Is that true? That actually did fix it. Holy shit. Well, I guess now we know what was the problem. It's kind of weird, though, because we have stuff like the status screen index, which is U16, and for draw shield upgrade, like unless I... Was plasma shields always drawn like this? Probably. Although it says shields 0, so that might not be the case. I don't know. Maybe there is something wrong with this, and we have to push this as an ARG. But yeah, like drawing armor is fine, apparently. Okay, well. Fix helpers. Pushing you my fixes. So, how would we know when to make it? Do we just wait for a crash before we know to do it? Or basically I had just miscast it or something? Misinterpreted it? Very strange. Well, anyway, at least it seems to be working. Or not crashing, so there's that. I'll just move Zerg up to here. We're not going to do a pre-release patch, I don't think. Like a... Well, they obviously showed them as like U16 or something, so... I mean, I guess we can take a look at it together right now. Show supply info. Wait, where do you see the offsets exactly? I guess it was probably just the graphic that needed to be pushed that way. But whatever. Register math. Ah, GPTP! Visual Studio hooks into my graphics card, so when I close it while alt-tabbed, it just breaks my whole screen for a whole second! Software! Soft. Where? I don't see any. Where do you see some? Any ideas? What? Owned. All right, we've got our prostration stage. Argosy. What else we got going on here? Profane Kabbalist. My water became warm because of the temperature. Disaster. Death. The end of our life. Reasonable. Mescaloid stimulant. Homie. Did you know? Ah. Trying to clean out some ancient strings. Synthetic cyanide. Ah. I probably missed some requires strings or whatever, but should be relatively in the clear. This is prostration stage is 159. Prostration stage. This is rogue gallery. And I have something here. Oh, it's just the Citadel of Attune. Wayward Lure. Okay. That's done. Did we still come out ahead there? We have the Celestial Shrine and Stellar Icon IDs, which we didn't have before. So yeah, plus minus, we're up 2 IDs. Pretty cool. We'll need them for the new units. I will add the unit ID stuff to the enums. Oh yes, just unpin everything. I don't need it. It's not like I use it literally every time I'm using this program. Definitely not the case. Okay, so we have Protoss Rogue Gallery? Question mark. Yes. What's up, Kian? Well, I finished my hooks. Veek is updating them and making some of them work, and others just do what we want them to do. And I'm working on the Protoss revision overhaul. I had some term for it, a Protoss revival. That's what I was working on. It was like the artistic revivals of like the 16th century or whatever. This is prostration stage and production. And then we had principality was monument of sin. And this will be Anthelion requirement. And then we had a machinist hall repurposing some sort. Oh wait, no, this is actually always Protoss automaton register. My bad. We'll take this, and this will be a robotic tier 1 requirement. This is Protoss frustration stage 159. I was basically hooking everything that references supply, and the reason for it is that we have the ability to change what it's looking for, so that we can, instead of checking for racial specific supply ever, we just check how much supply does the player have of any kind, add that together, how much supply does the unit cost of any kind, and then subtract that. I'm not exactly sure what Veek's intention is or how he's going to implement it, but that would be like a wild guess at what might end up happening. So basically, all we're doing is making it so that supply is not race specific. I actually think race specific supply works in small scale environments when you only have like 3 or 4 races. Because if you think about it, it's kind of like if I do have a multi-race thing, I'd make it building supply depots for Terran and pylons for Protoss. Okay, that makes sense if I'm playing as like 2 races as 1 player. But the odds of you doing that are pretty slim. And remember, we are scaling to meet demands of 10 plus races. It would never be tenable, never be scalable to have race specific supply. Well, I don't know. I didn't even really consider AI bugs specifically. We would probably need to hook AI specific stuff to get them to like build whatever is the most convenient. Like if they have a Mason nearby, build a supply depot. If they have Larva, build an Ovilith. If they have a Scribe, build a Pylon. That way it would be non-specific in that sense. But the key thing was having a situation where the player, for example, if you mind control something with a Demiurge or a Mind Tyrant or an Orchestra Core, like say you take command of an enemy production structure, now you don't have to also take command of a supply depot. Or if it's like a unit that for whatever reason like costs supply, on the flip side, it's kind of a nerf to certain playstyles. If you take command of a large number of units, suddenly your supply increases now, which is I think fair since it gets decreased for the other player. So if you're taking command of a bunch of Mavericks, then your supply is going up by 1 per Maverick. You know what I mean? So for that particular point, it should work out a little bit. So and yeah, AI playing as more than 1 race. I guess technically this helps out with that. It was collateral. It wasn't intentional that we did that, but yeah, you're right. So yeah, I think that works out pretty well overall. Citadel document Citadel. Oh, that's why I wasn't working in SCBW data, of course. That was a classic. I had my match hall word on. So that explains it. It was actually me being dumb instead of Visual Studio. So we have 163, so this is Protoss Wayward Lure. And this is shared check. This was actually, so this would actually be like Luminary, Striga, compressed requirement. Okay. So this is Protoss and Thelium. I think that was prostration stage, and I redefined everything, which is pretty funny. Whatever. So now we have shared Empress. This will be a Trixalisk, I think it was. Oh, that was the wrong one. Citralisk. So we also have Stellar Icon. Celestial Shrine for Empyrean is no longer in either, so... Okay. So those two unit IDs will help us. How many, if I had to take stock of all the units I plan to add, right, how many would I still have? That's the question. Owned. I think Disruption Field is technically unused now, so I'll just move that up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we have these already implemented. Holy shit, nice. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can do everything and keep the... I'll have NORAD 2, Physics Lab, and one other thing left over after all this. If I were to add all of these now. And then Dark Swarm will be unused. Do I have everything written down? Trask, Antiphon, Empress, Excitralist. Because the Luminary and the Aspirant are here. The Olympian and the Autocrat are here. Charlatan's already done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ah, the Orboth Omlia needs to be added. So I will have just the Physics Lab and NORAD 2 left then. So this is third Orboth Omlia. Orboth Omlia is a psychotic name, by the way. I am fully aware of it. That is actually just like straight gibberish. There's not even like you know how there's like Almac Anter is well, now it's Almacus Anter. But Almacus Anter, like Anter is like some sort of structure that you can like point to, like, oh yeah, that word means something. But Orboth Omlia. Like, what? I don't even know what that means. That doesn't even mean anything. Hello? But that's the charm, okay? That's what works. Okay, so yeah, that was the one thing I was forgetting. So I guess we might need to mem patch some stuff for Disruption Field. Might need mem patches. I'll add that to Darkstorm as well. So I'll start with the cave ID for the Anthelion. From is that 179 cave. So I guess we can do Citralisk. So the oh, you know what? I don't even have tested command center listed here as a unit ID, which is pretty funny. I guess that would be a funny inside reference if the unit ID of the Orboth Omlio was the same as what was the infested command center. So that makes sense. So these will be shared Tarask and shared Anti-Chthon. So we still have a couple more. Already plugged that one in. 130. I feel like that might be related to, well, actually, I don't know. Try disabling the single player computer switch or trying in multiplayer to see if that still happens, because that might have been a knock-on effect of my changes from yesterday. I noticed that even though I was randoming quite a bit and everybody else was set to user select, which defaults to random for players, they kept getting Zerg. They didn't exclusively get Zerg, but like 80% of the time, I would say, as a blind estimate, they were Zerg. So that was a bit weird. Okay, we've got our IDs. That's an old bug. That's been there forever. The fuck is different about sound ID? It doesn't look like anything is. What if I save it? Oh, wow. Goofy. Yeah, okay. So it's just an issue with the single player converter thing. All right, so I've defined unit IDs for all of this stuff. I will go through it for weapon IDs a bit later on. But for now, I think we'll call the stream there. We didn't get a massive amount of work done on like AI or anything, obviously. We haven't started on any of that. But the strings are in, the buttons have been reconfigured, and we've successfully managed to start implementing that branch, which is pretty exciting. So compile what I've got. We'll move on to some more work on this tomorrow. Probably same time, definitely same place. I got a talk show to wrangle in about 2 hours for CS, so you can tune in then if you're interested. It's mostly going to be us talking shit about how the industry is a goofy place. So I guess if you like petty grievances and stuff like that, you might like the show. Other than that, obviously thanks to Veek for helping me out. Thanks to everybody for sitting around and being the sounding board collectively for the new Protoss overhaul. And of course, we shall return with even more exciting work tomorrow. Bye.